as well. Fabulous, right? So, who can I hear? Who could I hear just then? Nobody. I think you're all on mute. Um, Good evening. Happy Monday. I know some of you guys are probably as exhausted as I am. The summit was honestly absolutely incredible. And I know some of you guys are so far away or in different countries, for Christ's sake. Like, you're not always going to be able to do it. I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Huh, it's not going to come out. But it was absolutely incredible. And if anyone, by the way, the link is obviously in the chat. If anybody else wants to take a couple of minutes to give any feedback on it, that's really helpful because ultimately, the reason why we feel like we nailed this one is all based on the feedback and what we did of the last one. So we just built on it. Now, I'll be honest, so far we've not had a single bit of like anything of saying like, oh, this should have been different, or I didn't really enjoy that, or I thought like nothing, nothing. So I'm like, oh my God, it's like getting 100% on a test. I feel like we peaked too soon. But it looks like the main bit of feedback would be potentially a bit of an overnighter. So to actually incorporate a 2 day event, we'd have to look at that seriously. Obviously, there's a few considerations there. One, we wouldn't be able to soak up the cost of that, so it would probably have to be a chargeable event, even the accommodation side. Second thing on that is I don't know how we'd do it. We'd have to have a look at like for instance, some of you guys travel down on the Friday, but we wouldn't be able to start the event on the Friday because people are at work still. So that would make it really tricky. So it'd probably have to be a Saturday into Sunday, but then some of you guys would have to pay for 2 days accommodation. So I don't know. We'd have to give it a lot of thought. Obviously, we've only just finished this one. We also launched, to those of you who weren't there, some merchandise as well. So that will be coming imminently. We literally got that design and the proof like a few hours the day before. So I was like, So there's just a few changes that I want to make and incorporate. Thomas has looked into some of the other ideas that came out on the day, but I don't know how possible that's going to be because what we're not is obviously a clothing line. It's not going to be a clothing line. It's just going to be like the odd bit and piece that you guys can obviously buy if you want to. If you don't, that's fine too. Our thinking is we've been asked for this for years and years, and that's fair enough. And if people actually want it, and also if you do wear it out and about, or your people who know you kind of follow that journey or see you potentially in the gym, then obviously my Instagram is on the background. So you might even get some free coaching out of it. So that was the kind of thought process our end. But watch this space, it is coming. We just need to finalize the designs, get everything sorted, and then we'll actually come out with the details for it. So yeah, but it was exciting. Bear with me because I'm playing catch up and I didn't even have the opportunity to do anything yesterday because it was my nephew's birthday. So I'm trying to like catch back up from like because I normally do work a Saturday. So I was like, ah. So it is a bit chaotic, but we are going to get there. So let me stop yammering on and share my screen. Where are we? The sky. So, protein. Do want to say a big welcome to the couple of ladies, obviously, that have joined in the last week as well. So, welcome. I didn't put it into the slides this week, but welcome, ladies. I don't think that on. They might watch it back. Is anyone on that's new? No, I don't think so. That's absolutely fine. But yes. Protein. Now, obviously, if you've been in the program a while, I'd like to hope that you guys understand the importance behind this macro group because it probably like we hear a lot of noise about it, and especially if you spend any kind of level of time on social media, it's like it's all the rage at the minute. It's so much so that it kind of feels like everybody's putting it on packaging, everybody's marketing with it, even if it's true or not. That's one thing I haven't put in this presentation. Please actually read the packaging. Like if something says high protein, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is actually high protein, okay? Now, I did do a bit on this a while ago. One consideration to know if something is actually high protein or not is to look at the calories versus the protein content. So if something is like 500 calories and it's got like 22 grams of protein in, think of it as almost like half. Obviously, I know it's not half, but imagine you take a zero off and that's half. That's not great. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if something, for instance, is 50 calories and actually it's got like 20 grams of protein in, you can kind of go, right, okay, that's not bad, is it? Like it's actually okay. So you can start to think about that with your packaging and go, right, okay, where do I actually sit with it? Is that good bang for your buck or not? So like even a protein shake, for instance, maybe call it 100 calories, maybe even 150 calories, but you might get 20 to 25 grams of protein. It's pretty good, isn't it? Like it's not bad. Like whereas, like I say, some of them you just look at and you think, no, that's absolute garbage. So start to actually compare some of your high protein, low calorie items. And then when you start to learn that, look at the packaging for some of the other things and go, well, no, actually that, or also get a normal version of it. So if it's a protein pizza or something, get a normal pizza and actually go, is this actually any different? Yes or no? Because the answer might be no. And you go, well, I'll just buy the normal one then. Why would I waste my money just because it says protein on the packet? So be really, really mindful of that, gang. So I feel like protein used to be like a gym bro, like "Rah!" Like that was kind of what it was always known for, and it was always thought of as like a man thing. Men look at protein like the chicken rice veg, like it was kind of that crew. It's not anymore. Like the correlation between actually like your health and understanding how much protein to get into your body is actually a really close tie now. So it is the building block of muscle, hormones, enzymes, and tissues. Like ultimately, it is helping your lean, like maintaining lean muscle mass. Especially, this is important for anyone massively over the age of 30. We don't have many women in their 20s inside of Strong Her, but the moment we hit 30, our bone density is decreasing. The only way to caveat that is by building that lean muscle mass. Protein is the building block that's allowing you to do that. It's also one of the biggest predictors of metabolic health and longevity. So, if you actually want to live some longer years on this planet, this is one of the things that is going to help you get there with some good lean muscle mass and protein that is actually helping to fuel keeping hold of that lean muscle mass. Like that's ultimately the two things are going hand in hand. Women massively under consume protein compared to men. And I think it usually is one of the first things we hear inside of this program. So when somebody joins in their first week, they go, oh shit, I didn't realize how low I was actually eating protein and how much more challenging they actually think it is. It usually isn't. It doesn't take people long to get their head around it, but that kind of initial, whoa, okay, I didn't realize that was the case. That's what we're talking about. But it's not just about building muscle, it's also about protecting your metabolism, your strength, your long term health. So, why is it mega, mega important for fat loss? Like, it's no secret, and I've said this a million times before, but protein keeps you feeling fuller for longer. So, it has the highest quality of satiation that you can get out of. So, the feeling of being full, essentially. That is what it is giving you for longer. It's also massively helpful for anyone that's got like cravings and binginess, cycles, like when your period is coming in and you start to think, oh my God, I really want to be snacky Sally. If you go for protein first, and I know it's hard, I know, let's be honest, we want the chocolate, we want the crisps, we want the sweets, we want the other things. But if you can try and steer your way towards protein, it will have a higher percentage of taking the craving away than any other macro group that you can put your hands on. So it is stabilizing that blood sugar. That is the reason why it is taking that craving away, because when our energy levels dip and tank, that's when obviously we start to make difficult decisions or different decisions. Now, carbohydrates are really good at doing that as well. But this is where, if you're about to pass out, fast digesting carbs. That's what we're going to give you. So there was a woman in the program that got a bit wibbly at the event the other day. So it gave her the option between a Kit Kat and a banana. It was like, take your fucking pick. These are the two things that are going to stabilize that blood sugar as fast as we can physically make it happen. But it's not going to hang on for very long. That's where the protein would actually come in, and it keeps you feeling that process a lot longer. It prevents muscle loss during dieting. So this is also, I know I'm a little bit anti GLP-1. I try and remain as balanced as possible. And I'm not against it actually for the right people. I do want to make that clear. I do think there is a percentage of people who should be on it and actually who will prevent them from going down even darker paths in terms of their actual like quality of life, etc. But one of the big issues is they are not at all like they're over injecting to a point where they're hardly putting any food into their system, and they are going to be losing muscle mass massively because their protein levels, they're not actually consuming enough food in order to get the protein to the levels where it needs to be to prevent them from actually losing that muscle tissue, which again, really fucking dangerous for the long term. And it is dangerous. Like, we are going to go through a huge like window in the future of where all of these women are essentially just falling apart. They're frail. And you're going to look and think, like, I think back to when we were kids and you heard of like 60-year-old women, I would think old. Like old women, like frail old women were what I thought of like 60-year-olds. And now I think, hang on a minute, my mum's going to be 60 in a year. She doesn't look like that. And I've kind of gone, huh, do you know what I mean? And Thomas's mum's like early 60s. And again, I'm going, she doesn't look like that. So this is the point. We've come a long way, but I kind of feel like society's not far from slipping backwards, and we're just going to replace one issue with another. And again, just as a bit of a side note, but it does feel like skinny is trending again. Fuck that. I, I can promise you, there is no life on this earth where that is worth it. There is no longevity to that strategy of going, yeah, that's what I want. I want low muscle mass. I want to be frail. I want to be thin. I want to be skinny. Like, that is not where we want to be. We want to be strong. We want to be capable. Like our cleaners today, I was carrying in all of the wood and I was trying to beat the cleaners so I could get the wood into the thing before they actually hoovered the floor. Um, and she was like, and there was three of them for some reason today, but she was like, oh my God, we've just watched a pregnant lady lift all of this wood, like, and none of us even thought to offer. And I was like, I would have been offended if you had. Like, genuinely, I'm pregnant, I'm not broken. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can still lift 15-kilo wood piles and sacks, do you know what I mean, into where I want them to go. Like, that is not, nobody is going to take over from that. Although I'm quite glad they don't make me take it all out of the trolley and home bargains anymore, which is good. They now trust my word for how much wood I have in my trolley because it's awkward as fuck. Um, but this is it. We don't want to be weak. We don't want to be like the number one cause of death for like or the mortality basically attached to people who break their hip when they're older, and that's a massive death rate essentially. It actually happened to my grandpa, is enormous. So if you break your hip, like if you fall down, and I'm not talking like big falls, it usually just happens if somebody has a little bit of a slip and they land awkwardly on that hip, you're almost sentenced to death within a matter of weeks. We want to be able to protect our futures. We want to be able to bounce a little bit if we take a bit of a tumble. That's kind of the point of having that muscle and that kind of joint density that we're actually looking for. It has a higher thermic effect as well. So your body is essentially burning more calories just digesting it. So protein, if you have a high protein diet, it is actually requiring your body to do more and burn more energy just because you've got the protein in your body. So again, we want to be burning those calories. We want to be asking our body to work that bit harder. And that's going to be obviously again really good for the long term. That's why every single one of you is on a high protein diet. It's burning, so protein's burning around 20 to 30% of its calories during digestion. Carbohydrates, 5 to 10%, and fat, 0 to 3%. So that's giving you some idea of the importance in order of that getting that protein inside of you. And if fat loss is the goal, protein is the macronutrient doing most of the heavy lifting. Like quite literally, as well as doing the heavy lifting as well. Want to be doing both. So, one of the biggest mistakes that women make now, and this is quite common again for newer women coming into the program, and I've coached a lot of women out of this mindset, but I'm just going to have coffee for breakfast. Might have a little bit of a light lunch and, like, do you know what I mean? Salad or soup, like, it might be a vegetable soup, like, literally no protein in there whatsoever. And then the most protein that you are eating is at dinner. So essentially, you're trying to catch up, which would be non impossible to be able to do for the record. Like if you've been set a protein target of, let's say, 120 grams, the odds of you getting anywhere near that in. And also, what we want to do is try and break it up as it's demonstrated below, because much over kind of 30 grams, your body can't actually synthesize it and use it effectively. Now, it's not entirely going to waste. It is obviously, again, you're getting the thermodynamic effects, you're getting some of the other benefits, but it's not directly going to actually get used by the muscle tissue. So it's kind of going, right, I can't really process too much over this in one go. So that's why we want to try and spread it out throughout the day so that you're giving your body the best shot. Now, I still don't get enough protein in at breakfast at the minute. The breakfast I've eaten for years and years and years, I cannot tolerate whilst being pregnant, which is a barrel of laughs. I'm like, ah. And again, this is why my recovery is a lot lower than what I'm used to being, and the fact I'm pregnant. Obviously, like, do you know what I mean? Again, it's a barrel of laughs, but it is happening to me at the minute because like my breakfast at the minute is two dippy eggs and some soldiers. Like that is my breakfast. Now I could probably introduce a third egg, but much more than that. And even last week I thought, right, I'm gonna have a protein shake. I'm gonna have it with this. I just cannot get it to stay down. It does not want to be inside of my body. Don't know why. Well, I think I do know why, because I was quite violently sick. And now I think my brain's going, no, no, no. So spag bol and the smoothies, it's just not working for me. Have to find other ways of trying to get protein in. Probably some Greek yogurt, or do you know what I mean? Something like that. And I am getting some in. It's just not as high as it should be, as dispersed as it should be throughout the day. So again, take your lessons from me. It is much kinder to your body, much kinder to your recovery and your energy, all of these different things, if you actually do spread it out throughout the day. So, how much do we actually need? So, for active women, which obviously everybody in this program is, it's around 1.5 grams to, I would say 2 grams to 2.2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. So, if you weigh 70 kilograms, we're looking at 112 to 154 grams of protein per day. Now, most of you guys, you will have seen in check-ins or at learnings along the way, I will typically point it out if I see anyone's food log dropping below 100 grams of protein a day. I will give you that task to say, and it's not often, might just see it come in throughout the week, and I'm going to say just keep it north of 100. That's at least, for a lot of you guys, going to make sure we're hitting that minimum requirement of where I actually want you to be. Higher, obviously, amazing, but that's where we want to be. But the average woman is way under that, way under. So even as little as half as that is where women tend to be, and they tend to live on quite a carbohydrate heavy and fat heavy diet as well, because people don't realize just how many calories are in fat. And even when they say, I'm going to cut out carbohydrates, it's usually because they overconsume on carbohydrates when they're not actually actively trying to diet. So that's usually what ends up happening. Protein and perimenopause. So it becomes hugely important. Like I say, so muscle loss accelerates during the perimenopause. It is the fastest, most rapid decline of muscle mass that you will see in your lifetime is when you become perimenopausal. That is the window where we have to do the most damage limitation as we possibly can to the physique. Metabolism slows down. So that's usually a little bit later. There's actually some really good research to show it doesn't slow down a lot until you're about 60. But at that point, again, that's going to help. So keeping the protein, keeping good muscle, all of these things are going to help when we all inevitably reach that point. And again, we want to reach that fucking point. Do you know what I mean? We all want to live as long as possible. Bone density, I've talked about the decline. It is quite rapid at that point, so we want to reverse that as much as we can. And again, recovery becomes harder, just like in pregnancy. All good fun and games. So we want to preserve that muscle. We want to support our bone health, stabilize our appetite, and improve our body composition. Ultimately, the lifting side of this is going to change the shape of your physique. The amount of women I was blown away. This was the thing I was most blown away by at the summit. So many of you guys obviously came last year, and it was just under a year. I think, I can't remember, but I think we might have done it in like, I think we did it in June, maybe last year. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, for the sake of argument, about a year. Watching you guys come back into the event, and I was even like, holy shit. Strong Her is even better than I even fucking realized because I don't get to see you guys in real life all the time, like rarely, actually. And when I saw like the difference in your guys' physiques, in your mindset, in your attitudes, in your all of these different things, I was like, fucking hell. Like it is quite impressive, and you should be really proud of yourselves for that. So that is the point. That's why we're coaching all of the things that we do. And that body composition, fuck me, did that shine through. That was like enormous to be able to see in action what that 10 months difference has done from somebody that started here and was now at this point. Like incredible, absolutely incredible. So the older we get, obviously, the more important protein becomes, not less important. So complete proteins contain all nine, my throat's gone, essential amino acids. Examples of this: eggs, chicken, fish, Greek yogurt, beef, protein powder, cottage cheese, plant sources. So some of them can still work, but often need a combination. So it is a little bit harder if you are a vegan, but if you're a vegetarian, you've still got certain options. Do you know what I mean? Out of this list that you'll be able to eat, it's the vegans that will have a far harder time, and they will have to do the combination eating in order to try and basically get the protein levels and the amino acids that they need to. But most of you guys that either eat meat, eat fish, or at least have a wide variety vegetarian diet, you are going to be absolutely fine. So, 30 grams of protein. So what we coach, so when women are in hotels or they're staying away at different things, is a palm size of protein. Like if you think about your plate and let's say you don't have access to scales or like ideas or different things. So again, when I was eyeballing the chili that I'd made for the event, I'm deliberately trying to make sure that everyone's getting a minimum of that palm size quantity inside of your bowl so I can control that's the right level of protein and I'm happy with what I'm feeding you guys. So that's kind of the point. But if you start to think in that palm size, so 150 grams chicken breast, 200 grams of Greek yogurt, 4 eggs, do you know what I mean? Not two. A lot of people think two is enough. It's not. A scoop of whey protein, a tin of tuna. These are the kind of things where you can go, right, okay, that's what 30 grams actually looks like. But this is also why we're encouraging you to track and log so that you can learn this and go, right, okay, I didn't quite hit my protein there. What could I have done? Right, just increase it a little bit. And again, it's not going to be bad calories to actually increase that protein. Simple ways to increase it, like swapping a regular yogurt for a Greek yogurt. And again, if you want to bring the calories down, 0% Greek yogurt is always going to work really well. Putting protein with your breakfast sounds really obvious, but it is one of the ones that a lot of people often start the program with skipping. Choosing high protein snacks. Again, some of you guys are like really good at doing this as well. And some of you guys are really good at asking other women for their recommendations. So that works really well. Building meals out around your protein first and batch cooking your protein sources or batch producing so that you know you've always got things available to hand. So even if you're working late, so like we've got a busy week ahead. If you see my Instagram stories, you'll have seen the cottage pie that I've made. Do you know what I mean? That's going to serve us for the next 3 days. I'm not cooking every single night of the week. Like, I don't have the energy, the inclination, or do you know what I mean? I'm just not interested in spending that long, but I'm making sure that the food that I am prepping is good, high quality, good produce. There are some clues about some of you guys, I think were a bit surprised about the chili that I made for the summit, and you were a bit like, oh, I'd never thought about putting this in it. I'd never thought about doing that. Or, right, okay, there's some clues there as to how I genuinely live my life. Like, that is the chili that I would make nearly every single week, no matter what time of the year it is in this household. Cottage pie full of vegetables, again, full of meat, and everything's cooked from scratch inside of this household. It's very, very rare that I would get things that are not cooked from scratch. That is, again, that's the reason why we're able to sustain the weights that we are inside of this house. Or we might bulk, we might cut, and even if we bulk, it's not a dirty bulk, it's still a clean bulk as well, where we're just increasing more of what we're actually having. So again, these are some of the things I wanted you guys to be able to experience so that you could see how we actually run our lives as well. So think about the protein first rule. So really good behavioral tool. So where is my protein? What am I? So when I do my weekly shop, and this is really helpful. I don't know whether all supermarkets do this, but like Aldi, they put the most expensive produce towards the front of the shop. So the vegetables, the fruit, and then it's always going to be your protein sources. That is literally how their store is laid out. Then you start to move into the tins and the cans and the crisps and the loo roll and things like that. But the most expensive produce is at the front. That is where I'm starting my shop by going, right, what veggies, what fiber am I getting into the food this week? And what meat am I buying? Pretty much by I'd say a bi-weekly shop with some vegetables and fruit top-ups. Like that's how I live my life. So I just buy all of my meat in bulk. I buy all of my like well, as much veg as I can obviously get for that week. But that's it. So I'm eating the same things on rotation because again, I haven't got the fucking time, the energy, or the inclination to do any of that either. This is how I live my life. But build and think about those healthy food plates. That healthy food plate of going right, a quarter protein, like a quarter of like a more complex carbohydrate, and then think vegetables, salads, like all of that for the other half of the plate. So think about that kind of thing with a little bit of healthy fats thrown in there as well. So these are some of your options with your proteins. So again, like a lot of it for the non-veggies and things. So your meat, your fish, like all of that kind of thing. And then protein for vegetarian vegans. You've got things like your lentils, your chickpeas, your black beans. So that's what I did for the vegetarians the other day. For those of you that saw the macros, you'll see that it is a little bit harder. It's a little bit lower for those guys to get their protein up to the same level, but it's not a million miles off. It's absolutely still doable. But I made a 5 bean chili. So that's where their primary source of protein was going to come from. And again, all of you guys know, I think by now, Aldi Lidl have some great high protein options. And just as a reminder, so your macros broken down to protein, 4 calories in every 1 gram. Carbohydrates, also 4 calories per every 1 gram, but you will hold on to a bit more water weight with your carbohydrates than you would your protein. Fats, over double, 9 calories per protein for every 1 gram. So this is why you guys will be on a slightly lower fat diet because the calories in fats are significantly higher. But we do need all three. So we want to try and keep within the ranges of what we've actually set you. We don't really need to go too much into carbohydrates. Does anybody have any questions? Let me just get rid of that so I can actually see my screen. Or anything they thought, oh, I didn't realize that about protein, or anything that you want to ask about protein. Anything at all. It's only a small group tonight, isn't it? Small group. I did think, oh, should we do it? Should we not do it? And I thought, you know what, I will do it for the women that didn't manage to obviously get to the summit. And actually, most of you went to the summit. So I'm like, okay, here we are. Does anyone have any other questions about anything else at all? Any form checks that you want to run through? Any questions about anything, anything you've experienced, any reverse diet bits that you literally can hear from the horse's mouth while we're sat here? I am still very itchy, very itchy. I feel like Karen might be typing. We'll wait. We'll just make sure that we give you actually time to type, not go, right, goodbye then. That's rude. We shall not be doing that. Do you have any ab stretches after the summit, please? So the yoga ones are basically the best ones, I would say. So what she actually did with us, so silly things like your downward dog, and you know where we were sat with like your legs out and then you're kind of trying to fold over but keeping your back flat, things like that. Cat and the cow. I don't think she did cat and cow with us, did she? But for your quick demo, I can't get down on the floor. You won't see it again. Basically, imagine I'm leant in, so you're kind of doing like that again. Really good. So when I do that, like I can feel it. My abs are absolutely killing me at the minute. Like as soon as you do that, but imagine you're on all fours, that kind of position. I think my cool down inside of the app. Woo, nearly died then. Um, my cool down inside of the app will have some ab stretches essentially. But I would definitely say the cat and the cow is probably my go-to at the minute. A nice, gentle easing off of that and just stretching it out. Assuming you've got sore abs from the summit. Why did my creatine not dissolve in water? Why did my creatine not dissolve in water? I mean, I don't. What creatine have you bought? That's a very specific question. It should have. Admittedly, I've never actually put. Let's do it. Hang on. I'm gonna go get some water and I'm gonna get my creatine. Hang on. I'm not taking it at the minute, but we own it permanently. Let's see how well it breaks down. Because I don't do it in water as like you can. Is my understanding. Let's have a look. Let's see how well. So this is Warrior Creatine. Let's just have a look. Oh, I forgot to actually get water. That would have been really helpful, wouldn't it? Lol. Right, let's get me water. Filtered water. Only the best. Right. Probably need a new filter, to be fair. It probably is just tap water coming out. Hang on, let me get my spoon. Right, let's have a look. Yeah, I mean it's dissolving. Yeah, I mean I would say that's absorbed pretty quickly. There's nothing like, do you know what I mean? It's not even like bitty. Where'd you buy your creatine from, Karen? Where? I can't hear you. Oh, from bulk. Might just stick it in yogurt. I mean, I would then mix it in. That would be the best shout. But it should. It should. I mean, I don't know where, like, if you're following I mean, I was going to say the storage guidelines. Ours just sits in a cupboard. Like, it's not like I've put it in the fridge or, do you know what I mean? I don't know whether it's got a bit cold potentially, where it's just not breaking down. But yeah, I mean, there's not even, I've got it all over my top. There's not even bits in that. Like, it's fully. I think this is from, it's not My Protein, is it? I don't think. Fuck knows. Thomas buys it. And I just turn up teamwarrior.com, but you won't have got it from it'll probably be off Amazon, I imagine. Sometimes we do get it from My Protein. No, it might be the Protein Works actually. I don't know, but it should. Or you could actually potentially Instagram bulk and say it's not breaking down very easily. Like, is this a bad batch, or like it might be worth writing to them and taking a photo and just saying, because it definitely should break down. Um, but again, that is a reputable brand. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you've just bought it off like a dodgy black market. So I would say it should, but it might. I would definitely say you probably would. They would send you out another one for free if you do contact them and say, look, I actually thought it would dissolve in water and I can't seem to get it to shift. It might just be a little bit out of date or something. But yeah, has anyone else had that? Anyone else put it with water? I used to, mine would have gone in my protein shake, so it was always blended in. So I've never just, but I know my old coach, she would just put it in water. Look, it's pretty much clear now. Take a spoon out. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, definitely should dissolve. That's a bit of an odd one. Right, any more for any more? Anything else anybody would like? Otherwise, we'll be trying to catch up with messages tomorrow, catch up with, I need to write some programs this week, so bear with on that. Get all of those written this week. What else do we need to do? A couple of you moving into year two, writing all of that. So I'm like, there's a lot we're working on behind the scenes. Like I say, the merchandise, everything else, and Thomas is at jury service this week, so that's fun. So I'm like carpal. It's like there's so much on at the moment, but yeah, let's absolutely smash it. Let's carry on smashing the fuck out of March, and yeah, we will see you guys a little bit later in the week. Mwah. Bye.